morning tip.
Good afternoon. It's still October 7th, 2024 over here. You're listening to a podcast called A Little Column A, A Little Column B, hosted by Will Leminos and co-hosted by Zach Bishop. How are you doing today, buddy?
What is going on, Will? Good morning from October 8th here in Vietnam. And boy, is it difficult to keep an eye on sports when you're in this paradise and how the time zones work. I think we've joked in the past that, oh yeah, time zones are kind of silly, but man, they do not work well here.
It's amazing we're still doing it. I mentioned earlier the date and all of that. We have been doing this podcast for just about 9 years at this point. 2015, October 11th. You're a little bit closer to it than I am at this point, but 9 years, buddy. We're still doing it. We're still getting up. Like, you're up in the middle of the morning on your vacation doing this 2 weeks in a row. We're still going.
And so yeah, second week in a row. Happy to do it. It was very much something that I baked into my vacation. It's like during football season. I knew when this trip was getting planned that this was going to happen. It was going to interfere with football. That was going to annoy me a little bit, but it was the lesser of two evils of having to do this during basketball season. And boy, yesterday did I feel I was missing out.
Like,
when you sent me a video of you watching football, the WNBA playoffs, and the MLB playoffs, where all of those are cool. But if I had gotten that on a college basketball Saturday, I just probably would have had a meltdown from trying not to sleep on a vacation.
it was a good weekend of sports. It was a great week of NFL football. Even Thursday.
Yeah, what's up with you watching baseball?
I enjoy a good rivalry. I also kind of enjoy watching the Mets and Phillies fans just go through these up and down traumas, because it has been a roller coaster of trauma, and it's just like, oh, that sucks. I get to stick it to them. I know I'm an outcast. I'm not involved. I literally don't have a team in the running, but I've enjoyed watching them torture themselves, go back and forth. And then the Mets is just kind of a miracle. I mean, we're not a baseball podcast, but if you'd asked me like 3 weeks ago if the Mets were going to make the playoffs, I'd be like, no way. And I think that's kind of how they felt weeks ago as well. But like, here we are, and I'm getting a kick out of that. And then, I lived in San Diego for a couple of years, and the rivalry between the Padres and the Dodgers is very real. They didn't really put up a fighting chance when I lived there, but I've been gone for quite some time, and they're quite a feisty little group now. So that's what I'm in for. All right, it is playoffs. Stakes are a little bit higher, and for the most part, the games we're putting up points. We're getting runs. So we got a pitch clock now. The game is so much faster. It's an improved sport so that I will tune in rarely on these sort of occasions, and that's about it. But yeah, look at me watching baseball. So, you leave the country for a little bit. This is what happens.
Yeah. So here's a good story, a vacation story from me on the on the flip side of this is, so Vietnam, 13 hours ahead. So I was able to woke up, was able to watch or keep track of the middle of the Yankees game. It's going back and forth. Yankees are winning. I walk to breakfast. Yankees are losing. I walk back from breakfast. Yankees are winning. All right, cool. I think it was around the 8th. Then I leave for the day, and I don't have a data package or anything, and sometimes you go places that has Wi-Fi. I was doing a motorcycle tour, so we were going to some more obscure places, and so I'm gone for about 8 hours, not knowing whether the Yankees won this playoff game or not. That ended hours and hours ago. But what's even worse is that I'm walking around, and both in Vietnam and Singapore, people are wearing Yankees stuff and Yankees hats. But it's the same way in America, we'd be wearing like something Asian affiliated, or same way some people wear just like a European soccer hat. It has nothing to do with actually being a fan of that specific team. It's just like in general. It's just like, here's an American thing that they're wearing. And as it got later in the day, I just wanted to go up and ask them, do you know if the Yankees won? And for sure there's going to be a language barrier, and I wasn't sure if I'd be able to pantomime it enough to find out. And I was thinking they're going to look at me crazy, but as it got later and later in the day, I was getting more and more desperate. But I held it together. I didn't want to be be the weirdo out of the country, so I was lucky when I got back that it was that the Yankees had one. But yeah, I've been very surprised that the some of the updates I've been getting from you have been baseball focused.
It's been wild. It's been crazy. I just feel like I'm familiar with some fans throughout multiple podcasts on both sides of the fence here of Philly and the New York Mets. So it's just been a fun beef that this is a rivalry that we should be getting every year. And I think that's a little bit more to it as well. That we've got like Otani in the playoffs. There are stars attending the playoffs this year for baseball. I think that makes a really big difference. But enough with the baseball. We can maybe talk some WNBA later. I've been watching those playoffs as well. It's time for the NFL picks. They're not going great. I did not have a very successful week. You pulled ahead by a lot of picks. I just want to say I was close on a lot of them. I don't deserve partial credit, but it wasn't like the true reflection of right and wrong. I was a little bit closer to being right. These are a lot of one-score games, a lot of stupid endings, a lot of things that I have no control of. But if you'd ever played Madden once in your life, you probably wouldn't have made some of these mistakes. But we'll get to that. You want to gloat a little bit on your successful week is really just me screwing up. But you are taking quite the lead now.
Well, it's nice that something is going well football related for me. The time zones are killing me. The kickoffs for the 1 o'clock line up with a midnight start here. So I thought maybe I'd catch the end of the 4 o'clock games, and all it turned out was basically the entire time I slept, I just missed all of red zone, all of football, just how it works. And so, all right, it's like, so next thing, okay, check the scores. All right, check my fantasy teams. 0 for 5. That was my punishment for not watching red zone, for not watching football. That was and going 0-5, and I still missed it. I still was like, well, I wish I could have watched it.
What if it would have ruined the experience that you were bailed out? I mean, you probably had a really good day, a motorcycle ride or wherever you're out over there doing something. That sounds way better than watching 7 hours of commercial-free football and losing in all of your fantasy teams.
Oh, every single one. And it wasn't even particularly close in most of the matchups. Even going in after the Thursday games, it was looking and just I couldn't believe. And you are good at kind of recalibrating me when I come back from that motorcycle ride. I finally get a chance to check my phone, get ready for London morning games, which is the nighttime here for. All right, let me make sure all my fantasy lineups are set. And all right, what could possibly go worse? AJ Brown on bye and her traded for McCaffrey. That was part of it. But even I feel like still a little bit responsible for the Devontae Adams, Rashee Rice, and now coming in. And then I got Romeo Dobbs who gets suspended. I was like, dude, how is this happening? How is this team just the wheels are absolutely falling off? Buys everywhere, and then you just hit me with it's 37 degrees here. It's like. Okay, well, I don't know. I still might just walk into the ocean, but at least I'll feel a little guilty about it.
I don't have to tell you with the fantasy. It's 1 week at a time. Just hope next week doesn't go the same way. Just like I'm hoping my picks this week go a lot better. All right, you want to jump right into them? You ready for some picks?
I am ready for. Oh, just one last update. I've had picked the Patriots both to win in the picks, but that was also my my money line bet. So that is my first miss of the year, unfortunately, for the listeners that are tailing me.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm just doing bigger swings. I'm going in the wrong direction. I'm turning way more into slot machine bets on these sort of things. I got a doozy coming up for you. Actually, we're just gonna be in game one right here on Thursday. San Francisco 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks. Both had some of the most creative ways to blow games and competitive advantages you're ever going to have. Like, both of these teams were in control and were supposed to win the game and just somehow did not win either of these games. Between the Mason fumble with 6 minutes left in the fourth for the 49ers, do they at worst get a field goal off of this? Instead, he fumbles. Cardinals go all the way down off a couple of miracle prayers, and they lose the game. Once again, I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad for them. They have a ton of injuries, but they also still have a ton of talent. Throughout the offense this year, though, I did think Ayuk has been picking up a little bit. He picked up last week. I got Ayuk for the first touchdown, plus 900. I just got a feeling. I think Seattle's defense is wide open, and they're starting to get a little bit more of a connection on there. I think he's becoming a little bit more of the best receiver on the 49ers team. That being said, this loss was barely anything to compete with the Seattle Seahawks. Did you see how they lost with their special teams fiasco?
Yes. Yes, I did. And my question for you is, why was that not a penalty for jumping over the center? I thought that was illegal now.
I haven't gotten a complete explanation, but for what they said on the air, they said that that's an allowed alleyway, that he went between the guys, that it wasn't over anybody, that justifies all that. Now, what I don't understand is if that seems like the only thing you need to worry about if you're a special teams blocker is to maybe get in the way of the only areas you're apparently allowed to break through, which is why it's a terrible thing. I mean, this is another excellent Geno comeback here that just gets completely screwed up by the special teams. And then his return for a touchdown. The score of this game makes no sense. I mean, like I said, Seattle was in control of this game and could have won this game and ends up losing 29-20. I don't really have a good explanation beyond all that. It just seems it seems impossible. It seems like a movie ending where you would try to pull this off
Yeah.
a million times and it would never happen.
Did because I saw the highlights of this play, and the guy jumps over, and I thought that was illegal now, but I guess if you can jump the alleyway, are we going to see this more often, or is this going to be something that is clamped down immediately with the officials, and we're going to see six guys do this next week, and it's all going to be penalties, and it really was, well, we let him get away with it this week, but really we shouldn't have, and really it was a missed call.
Well, I think the guy fell and he was able to kind of go around him and not as much over him. Look, I don't know. You can't really
Yeah.
even define block or what holding is to me without me being like, so it happens every play. It's like, no, it's just the ones that really look like they affect the play the most. But you're also really anticipating what the play is going to be and whether that's actually going to have any effect on it. And sometimes it's like, oh man, I can't believe they're bringing it back on all this. I saw a play in the Baltimore game where in the past I've always agreed with just let it play out because they can review any scorers or turnovers things. So the guy, they don't call it dead. He runs like 90 yards, returns like a defensive touchdown. There's a flag on the field. He gets all the way down. He's completely exhausted. And they're like, it's on you guys. Just come all the way over here. We're gonna redo the down. It's like, what? That seems unfair. That's 90 yards of effort that you're not getting back. And then, by the way, you're in again, bud. Like the clock's gonna start. 40 seconds. Let's go. Like you're
Not
not.
even to mention the mental part of it of I think I just scored a touchdown and then it's just ripped away from you.
Oh, so much effort. He ran hard. He ran fast. That was one of those where it's like I do not train for this sort of distance, but I got a chance to score a touchdown, so I'm gonna put it out there. It's weird.
Did you see did you see the ending to the Yukon football game?
No, no. You're gonna.
It's very similar situation to this, except instead of a kick, fourth quarter, fourth down, 3 seconds left. Temple's got the ball at about the 2 yard line. They try to run a QB sneak. They're up three, figure and all right, either we'll score or we'll run out the 3 seconds. Oh no, they fumble. UConn takes it 99 yards the other way, and all I'm thinking is these. I'm seeing these highlights at the similar time as these Giants of UConn and the Giants winning in this just ridiculous fashion, and was just very glad that I was just so far away and didn't have to deal with it, in person.
Well, which loss did you think was worse? The fumble with Mason wasn't great either because the Niners felt like they kind of really needed this win and deserved to have this win, and then it's just gone. When you fumble in the red
I
zone,
think
like that's crazy. You're
I think
supposed to walk
yeah,
away with points.
I think the 49ers one is worse. Yeah, like you said, fumble in the red zone where you have to have points and then you're fine. Compared to Seahawks, I mean, I think the Giant losing to the Giants, like the Giants team that is worse. That part isn't as good. But even if the guy doesn't jump over, make a miraculous play, you still have to make the field goal, and then even after making the field goal, then your best case is going to overtime. So there were still like more things that had to happen.
Yeah. All right. I'm going with Ayuk in the Niners this week. I feel a little bit more confident despite all the injuries. I don't know if this team can keep a lead, but I don't think the Seattle can keep a lead either. I mean, they're definitely just an offense, but I mean, the Giants didn't have neighbors this week. They didn't have Singletary. I just think even if the Niners aren't having a great time, they're going to be able to take on this Seattle team, and that's why I'm going with them. And I got Ayuk first touchdown scorer plus 900. Who you got in this one?
Yeah, I'm also going to go with the Niners. It just the Seahawks are you can see, they lost to the Giants. The Niners they're losing people. They should still be a good football team. At some point, they're gonna have to turn it around. So I'm gonna think that at least wins wise, they're gonna regress towards the mean and start winning some of these closer games.
both of these teams are going to look back at this week, and if it ends up really adjusting their scheduling of the future for the playoffs, these are 2 weeks they're going to wish they had back. They easily had control and will be in a favorable position to win, and they didn't win. Brutal. Moving on, next game, going over to London, 9:30 a.m. on the East Coast. Jacksonville Jaguars against the Chicago Bears. Both these teams had fairly successful weeks. I mean, we got a game-winning field goal over here. We got a rookie slinging it for a whole bunch of points on the other side. I mean, which
I heard
offense?
there was a brawl.
There's a lot of new egos going around in the NFL right now. Is there an offense you feel more confident going into this game overseas here, Chicago or Jacksonville?
I feel much more confident with the Bears. I was happy that I got my Jaguars pick correct. That was just more of a dart throw and just one of those. Sooner or later, they have to get a win. It's just the way it works in football. But Jaguars are not going to get a lot of wins. Give me the Bears. Give me Caleb. Even though being overseas, but starting to get into brawls, like teams are getting feisty. It means they care. And you have to care if you're going all the way over to London to play a morning game.
I'm turning around on the Bears a little bit. I know this is going to be a kiss of death. This is terrible, but I can't remember a single Chicago offense ever in my lifetime, and I'm starting to think this might be one that's a little memorable. Jacksonville gave up so many big plays to Joe Flacco that I'm worried this rookie is going to destroy them with the same stuff. That it's just going to be big play after big play, DJ Moore stuff, and hopefully Roscoe or whatever Johnson gets some more goal line touches over there. But I'm with you. I like Chicago in this one. I thought Jacksonville was so lucky to even win last game, but it was nice to at least see a little bit of a threat out of Jacksonville finally. It's some real noise offensively. We may have a new running back over there. What are your thoughts on Tank over there? He seems to be dominating some of the touches and a little bit more effective.
It's taken him a little bit. I've definitely gotten burned by him earlier in fantasy, where just looking at it, it's like, well, his name's Tank. How can you go wrong with a name like Tank? So kind of cool that he's living up to the name.
All right, moving on. Next game, Arizona Cardinals at the Green Bay Packers. We talked about the Niners taking on the Cardinals and the success of all that. It felt like a lucky fumble. I don't know if it was lucky as the prayer toss to Marvin Harris Jr. just skyrockets this thing to the moon, and somehow he comes down with it. Don't know how he did do that, but end up with a game-winning field goal. Successful week for Kyler Murray, I suppose. Now, you mentioned the Packers earlier about their suspension of Dobbs. This was a team suspension. I assumed, I don't know, steroids, drugs, or even worse. I'm not trying to associate any off the field issues, but they seem to tend to happen. But
yeah, we'll get to that when we get to the Patriots.
What's the beef with Dobbs? This is a team suspension. I don't. This is a game too where they don't have Christian Watson. He's injured. They have somebody else is out too, right? I guess he ends up being out as well. Like, this is just the wrong time for him to not be there.
It's tricky because if the league suspends you, you did something wrong, and we've seen in the past it can be some like really bad things. But when the team suspends you, it almost can sometimes be worse, where it has nothing to do with legal trouble or any. Or I don't think so. Like at this point, it's just more of like he was being a real dick during the week, and you know what? We just had to finally say enough is enough, and you're not playing. And I just don't know if he's going to be mature enough to going forward not have that impact him the rest of the time and just kind of be upset about it.
It was Wicks also got hurt in this game, so it's just like this would be a nice game to have Dobbs, wouldn't it? This would be one of the better weeks where we could actually have the depth of all this. They pull off a win. You say what you want about the Rams, they still got another win. I think they'll get another win this week. This Green Bay team seems to just find a way to get it done. They're doing it without all these guys with this problem, and they still won. I imagine he's going to come back, hopefully, with a little bit of a vengeance, maybe. And if he gets all these other injuries seem to pan out, he might even get more touches, and everybody gets to win out of this. So I'm going to double down with the Green Bay Packers and all that. Who you got this week?
Well, I just checked ESPN.com, and the second headline is Packers Dobbs moving forward after suspension. So hopefully he will be back in the real lineup, back in the fantasy lineups for everybody, and we can all move forward, and he can start being a good teammate. So either way, I'm gonna go with the Packers. I had broken my rule about trusting Kyler Murray in the Cardinals. I don't think I don't know if that's going to be a hard and fast rule this year again being implemented, but I think the Packers are better, and I agree with you that they keep finding a way to win. And being at home, I just trust them much more than I do the Cardinals.
It does feel lucky when Arizona wins. It's like, what, how are we? It's just miracle play after miracle play. We're just going to do this every week. We're always going to be behind. We're never going to be ahead. It's just
And
prayers.
sooner or later, it's going to burn you. It's going to burn you.
Yeah, it's a little predictable, but it was an exciting game. I mean, look, it was fun. There were moments this past week. I was looking at my picks. I was like, I think I'm in a good spot, and then the games all ended, and it was like, no, you weren't close on like any of them. Like it just ripped away from me. This was one of them. Moving on, next game, Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans. I mean, I was just gonna straight up ask you: do you think Flacco should be starting? Because this is like a Drake May Brissett kind of situation here, where they're clearly better with Flacco. This team, Downs and Dye Mitchell and Pittman are much better off with Flacco going out there. And if the team wants to win victories this year, I think they need to play Flacco. With that being said, did we drafted Drake May? We saw Anthony Richardson. Aren't we? Are we competing for a Super Bowl, or are we trying to win with Joe Flacco? I don't know what the right answer is here, but I'll ask you. Do you think Flacco should be starting?
I think you start Flacco, make sure that Anthony, and then you could say, this is like to make sure Anthony Richardson is healthy, but you have to go back to Richardson at some point. Flacco is a million years old. He's not the long term solution, and even this year, you're 2-3. They're not going to win the Super Bowl, even with Flacco. Even if he played absolute premier in his prime, Flacco, I don't think they're going to be a real title contender. So I think you start him for a little while. If you want to play let's see if we can make the playoffs this year if Flacco's the guy. But I don't think that's good for Richardson, and I think you can only do that while you're saying he's getting healthy. Once Richardson's healthy and you're starting Flacco, you're in trouble. You might as well start looking for a new QB.
I mean, if the Patriots had Flacco, let's just say, or let's just say the results of Flacco being done by Brissett, it seems like a kind of mirrored situation here where, well, if Brissett was kicking ass right now, would we be quiet about Drake May, or would we be like, all right, this is fine, but I don't really think we're like a Super Bowl threat right now. Like he's never gonna have that. He hasn't done that before. I mean, Flacco actually has, but like you get what I'm saying of all this. Of like, are we going for the Super Bowl right now, or are we just trying to win this game this week? Like, are we doing a long term plan here?
They, Flacco played well, but they still didn't win, and they lost to the Jaguars. Like it's not like it was, oh, Flacco played well and they lost to like a really good team. It's like you gave a team their first win, so I think it just hurts.
Yeah, maybe. And nobody throws a deep ball like Flacco. I am expecting him to play. I don't think Richardson's going to be healthy this week. I do think he'll play the week after, but if Flacco's going to play and he's going to be tossed, I mean, nobody throws a deep ball like Flacco. He's going to chew up this Tennessee team. They're coming off a bye. They probably don't even know what quarterback to be preparing for. So I'm going with Indianapolis on the road here. Really, regardless of what quarterback, but I want Flacco to start. He's reflected a lot better on my fantasy team for a lot of the receivers I have on Indianapolis versus Richardson. He's just not the same threat throwing it. He might be more of a threat doing other stuff, but it's not the same. Who you got in this one?
I am also going to go with the Colts, and reverse what you just said is like I don't care who's the quarterback for the Colts of this one. Where the Titans, whoever they throw out, I think if you're a good team coming out of the bye, you are refreshed, focused. But I think when you go into the bye and you're 1-3 this early in the year, there has to be some level of, well, I think this thing's kind of over. And I'm just wondering how focused they're really going to be. I know they're at home. I know they're coming off a bye, but that's how little I think of the Titans and their ability to, get this ship turned around. So give me the Colts.
All right, moving on. Houston Texans at the New England Patriots. I mean, we're just so boring. Nobody is scared of us. We just talked a little bit about our situation. I'm not rooting for Drake May to go
We
in
made
there.
Aaron Rodgers look absolutely elite, like he was back on the Packers from back in the day, and since then he has not looked anywhere close to that.
We lost to we are obviously I think the worst team in the league now, seeing how I would have said Miami was the worst team in the league and they just beat us. It was a gross game. It wasn't fun. I'd much rather just talk about the Houston Texans, who were going to win this game. It looks like Nico Collins might have gotten injured, but this was kind of a gift wrapped victory just handed to them from the Buffalo Bills of one of the stupidest play calls of the years. I mean, tons of turnovers for Houston, but once Collins got hurt, I felt like Stephon Diggs really stepped up, and they did have Tank Dell back in this one. So I just like the depth of Houston. It hasn't always looked put together, but I still think they're getting better week by week. And even with some of these injuries, it's nice to have the depth that they had. Uh, nothing nice to say about the Patriots. So I got Houston. I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, number one pick status. Are we there for the Patriots? Who do you want? Let's start circling somebody.
Oof. I mean, do we just go with Travis Hunter so we can get a guy that can maybe be good at offense and defense, and we're just at that era of this could happen again. We see Otani in the MLB, and the thought has always been, oh well, no one can ever do that. But what if we could get a guy that could play two positions for one pick? I really haven't started to crunch the numbers on it, but yeah, at this point, from what I've seen, I mean, there's a handful of bad teams, but we are definitely one of them. And where some of the other, like the Browns like have something like they thought they were going to be good. I don't think that they can really start the tank the same way that we coming into the year knew we were not going to be good, knew we were going to be getting another top pick, whether we're going to use it or we're going to trade it. But yeah, had a chance. We went into the week as a favorite by game time. We were a 1 point underdog and just still couldn't get any traction. Yeah, you're not going to win. You're not going to win games scoring 10 points. We knew this from. I mean, everybody knows this, but we really was hammered home last year. Of you have to score points. It was good to see Stevenson get a touchdown after he had been removed as the starter because of ball control issues, and then you just get whacked over the head later on. How one of our good players, Peppers, arrested, and you're seeing like all of the bad words. It's there. There's a bad assault. Not like there's any good assault, but it seems like the extra bad assault. There were drugs involved. It's just, ugh, like what are we doing? What are we doing? It was just like one little silver lining of something, and I guess that's still that we have Drake May wrapped in bubble wrap off to the side. Hopefully he's learning a lot because we need something. We need a little bit of a spark. It's not gonna be for this year, but I'm getting closer to the all right. Well, let's start throwing Drake May out there and see what we have in him. See if are we putting people around him for next year, or are we putting him on the bench and we're getting a replacement by the end of this year?
Do you think Bob Kraft is really interested in the idea of paying one guy one salary that's going to play both ways? Like that sounds like the cheapest team in the world, getting the perfect guy. So yeah, maybe that is the way to go. Or is this going to be an Otani thing where he's going to pay both ways, two contracts?
I'm just trying to think outside the box here on this.
Yeah, well, we are desperate for that sort of creativity because this team has nothing. There's nothing exciting about them. There's no threat. I'm not even sure we're well coached anymore. We had a ton of penalties. We had more than Miami, who I think had led the league coming in. I don't know what we're good at anymore. I don't know where we're going. I feel like the locker room has really given up on Brissett, and that's not fair because they kind of knew what they signed up for when they brought him in. And I don't want to say he's under-delivered. He's been what I think
he's a backup.
Yeah,
he's a backup quarterback, and he got one win, and with that line and the guys around him, that's who we brought in.
Yeah, no surprise there. All right, next game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints. What a shootout for Thursday Night Football here against the Atlanta Falcons.
That was fun.
Great game.
Yeah, going into overtime. Oof. And then anytime it's a touchdown in overtime, just extra excitement.
Baker's been exciting. I've enjoyed this team. I hope they win this week. They were what I'm going to be picking in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know New Orleans is coming off a bye week, but there's just some weird stuff going on with New Orleans. They're 2-2. There are two games where they were awesome and they scored a ton of points. And there's perhaps a scenario where we end up with another shootout like this. That seems like Baker loves that stuff, and I love watching it. So maybe we get that. I'll be rooting for a high-scoring game, but I'll roll with Tampa on this one. I just don't know what New Orleans team's going to show up. Who you got?
I'm just trying to think outside the box here on this. Who you got?
I just don't know what New Orleans team's going to show up. I just don't know what New Orleans team's going to show up. Who you got? I just don't know what New Orleans team's going to show up. Who you got?
I am going to go with the Saints. I think these teams are pretty even, despite what might have happened more recently. Bucks put up a lot of points, but could not get that win. Saints coming off of they're coming off a bye, right?
Yeah, bye week for the Saints. They didn't play last week.
Yeah, yeah. They're coming off a bye. I think that they're going to be rejuvenated. We've seen that they've been able to put up a lot of points, so I'm just going to go Saints at home.
All right, moving on. Cleveland Browns at the Philadelphia Eagles. Philly coming off a bye week. They kind of needed it. We're hoping some of these injuries pan out and that they put themselves together. But they're a 2-2 team for Philly right here versus a 1-4 Cleveland Browns team. What a mess we got going on over there in Cleveland. The complete disaster. They get blown out again. They need to bench him. This is over. They gotta just eat the contract and just suck it up and put Winston in. Are we ready to do that? Is this the week?
You were very much ahead of me on this, but I have caught up, and you have to. You got to try. You got to try something else if there's any chance to salvage what's left of the season. You got to give it a go, and you figure out the money on the other side. But it is not working. You got blown out by a rookie quarterback. It, I see no silver linings. You have the same record that that we have. The Patriots have.
At least we don't have anyone tied to a contract like that with assets that we gave up to get him. In a
Oh, it's a sunk cost at this point. I was trying to say, no, I think this is why the owners are gonna hold on to it, but you gotta pull the trigger. You gotta say we made a mistake, and we have to get away from this mistake and not continue to just bathe in its filth.
he has no interest in just going back to a very fundamental way of playing. He insists on being this miracle extending play guy who just takes sacks for so far and never actually commits to the play. And it's such a post play thing that it's not organized. I don't know why he keeps trying to force stuff and just throw it away a little bit faster, try to make decisions a little bit easier. He's obviously struggling to the point where we should really be not letting him do as much. And I don't know if that's restricting him and that they got to put more of a leash on him if he's going to play, because I'd like to believe this defense is still good. They just keep getting screwed on such terrible play time. They're on the field way too much, and they're getting awful field position just every time with him. But I got to hope that something's better here. I mean, Jameis is at least a threat. I'd rather have a guy that's thrown 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in a game than whatever Watson's doing out there. Right? Like that's got to be the
I don't
move.
even think I don't even think that Winston's gonna last that long. I think they're gonna put Winston in for a couple of weeks, and then they're gonna grab somebody else from somewhere. Because I think we've seen Winston before, and in spot minutes it can be exciting, but after a little bit of excitement, it just goes right down, right down the tubes. So I think you get you get Winston in there, but you're also looking for, okay, who's going to be the guy in under a month that's going to start the rest of these games. Start taking a look at guys.
Philly has to win this one too. I feel like this is a must-win for Philly.
Yeah, have to. Yeah, you can't drop this one off a bye, or coming off the bye.
Yeah, they got a chance to
Disastrous if they
really
lose this
change the momentum of the season just off of this week. All right, didn't lose last week. Bye week, injuries are all
Yeah,
kind
the
of
ball,
we can start fresh right now.
the ball is on a tee for them. They just gotta crank away.
All right, speaking of some excitement, we have the next game: the Washington Commanders at the Baltimore Ravens. What a roller coaster ride the Baltimore Ravens continue to have, where they are down, they are
Ooh.
tying back up, they are blowing leads, and then somehow ending up with it. We'll get to the ending of all that, but I'd like to start with the Washington Commanders and their franchise-changing player with their quarterback play in Jaden Daniels. Another monster week, man. What an offense this guy's putting together. It's just the efficiency and all this stuff. How impressive is this rookie? This is pretty unheard of. I mean, I know we're hoping Drake May is something like this, but this is what can happen with these early picks. It can really change everything.
And so quickly too, where this isn't a couple of years down the way. He's a rookie, started right away. This goes to if you got a guy, you're going to know immediately, so he should be playing. Don't save him for anything. But yeah, he is cruising. He is throwing the ball. He is running the ball. He is fun to watch, and it's got to be so much fun for Commanders fans who have had not had much success, have not had a quarterback in a very long time.
I was hearing something he's been doing a lot of VR headset training where they said
Ooh, the future.
it's a little less wear and tear because you don't have to actually throw the ball. And he said they got it set up where the coach like narrates the play for him so he knows what sort of progressions to be looking at. And they got all the plays like uploaded in like the VR thing for him. So like he can just scan through whatever the playbook is that week on the VR. So he's like it's convenient for scheduling as well, but he's also able to accomplish like a lot more looks in a way more efficient time versus setting it up on the field. It's like it kind of looks the same. But I haven't heard a lot of people doing that. Apparently, he was doing this in college too, and that's kind of what's hooked him all up to all this. But he looks great. He looks
Seems
prepared.
it seems silly that all quarterbacks aren't doing this. You can get more reps, and you don't need as many people. You don't need as many resources, and it can save you from wear and tear. It seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, he was saying how like you don't have to physically. I mean, you can kind of. It's like a Wii game. I think they got it set up on where like he can swing his arm and kind of throw it there, but he doesn't need to like hurt his shoulder or
The
elbow or
full the full motion.
yeah. It's all kind of reserved, and as well as you get the motions of what you should be looking for and the what it's going to look like and. I don't know, that was cool stuff. I hope all that's true. That now that I have shared this on a podcast, but exciting time. They completely dominate Cleveland Browns. We talked about the mess of all of them. They're going to be at Baltimore, who had probably the most exciting game of the week, 41-38 versus Cincinnati, where they are down and then they are back and then they're in overtime and then Lamar has one of the worst fumbles you're ever going to see. And then Cincinnati misses the extra point, the game-winning field goal attempt where they just could botch the hold. And then King Henry just says, you know what, nobody wants this game. I will take this game. And on like the second play of their possession, on their second possession, just takes it all the way to like the 20-yard line. They kick the field goal for the win. Ball game, Baltimore. Cincinnati blew this game. But, I mean, this should be a fun one this week, right? High-scoring Commanders, up
Oh,
and down
big time.
Baltimore.
This is one of the ones that I was looking at saying this is the one to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I'm going to take the rookie. I'm going with Washington on the road. They seem just a little steadier of a hand. I know Baltimore has played and competed against some really good teams, and maybe that's a reflection of some of the ups and downs. But I just don't like a team that is really good some quarters and then just absent other ones. I'd rather have a team that looks a little bit steadier, and I'm starting to feel that way about the Commanders here. Who you got this week? I'm going with the rookie.
I'm gonna stick with the Ravens. Stick with King Henry. I like what I see. I think that the Commander's schedule has been softer. So despite and it's just a one win difference, so it's not a crazy mismatch in that category. But I just think the Ravens are at home. Jaden's playing well, but it's a little bit harder when you're not playing against the Browns. So I'll stick with the Ravens.
All right, moving on. Next game, the Los Angeles Chargers at the Denver Broncos. Chargers coming off a bye. Denver, we put up some points again. I mean, I'm watching all these rookies go out there. They're scoring points. Should we be a little jealous? Maybe we should be rethinking some of this Drake May stuff. Is this for real? Are we buying into Denver? What are you thinking?
I'm not trusting it. I think the Raiders might have been the one tricking us early on, and if you're a Broncos fan, you got to be happy with what Bo Nix is doing, where he's at least competent. It's not the same level as Jaden, but when you get a brand new guy, he had his struggles, but I think he's been in a good spot.
I think their defense is pretty good too, and as long as their rookies disciplined enough, which he'll have his moments. This should be a good matchup right here. I'm not saying the Chargers are a big threat, but they're probably not going to make a ton of mistakes, and that'll make it a tight game on its own. They do have some offensive threats. I don't know with their injuries as well, but I'm going to roll with Denver in this one. I don't feel great, but I just didn't love the Chargers going into a bye week. Maybe I'll like them coming out of one after this week, but I'll stick with Denver right now with the hot hand. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with the Chargers. I think that they're coming off a bye. It's a coming off a bye with a good coach, and I think that Harbaugh will just he had an extra week to prepare. He's going to take advantage of that going against a rookie quarterback. I know that they're on the road, but I just think that that extra week of preparation, extra week of rest for the team, I think that'll be enough to overcome this Broncos hot hand at the moment.
All right, next game, the 3-2 Pittsburgh Steelers at the Las Vegas Raiders. You kind of mentioned earlier that I don't think you're going to win many games switching the quarterback mid-game. That's something the Patriots did last year. I can't recommend it. It didn't look good on the Raiders. I don't know if we're going to do this O'Connell Minshew thing all year. I don't like it. I'm going to go with any. I would go with any team against that. The fact that it's Pittsburgh encourages it a little bit more, despite their loss to the Dallas Cowboys after a ridiculous rain delay. This Pittsburgh team had two special team blocks and some really good defensive plays and still didn't win. I'm still going with them because like I said, I can't go with Vegas here. But who are you going with?
Yeah, yeah, it's got to be the Steelers. The Steelers, I think they keep finding a way to win, and I don't think I'll be picking the Raiders anytime soon. All the things that you said. Anytime that you're switching quarterbacks midstream, it means you don't trust either of them. And I like, we're kind of talking with the Winston thing of, well, you got to try it, but it means, hey, we are desperate and we really don't have the answers. And if you don't have the answers at this point in the football season, you are sinking ship, and look out. But Steelers gonna crush them.
We're still on Devontae watch. Is there a specific home you think he's heading towards yet? I really don't have a guess on any of it. Baltimore seemed to be a rumor there based on some really weird poem assumptions, but
oh yeah, the Edgar Allan Poe stuff. Yeah, that was bizarre.
The Jets, we'll get to them later, seem to be a threat as well as another reunion. But I just watched the Jets offense a couple times. It's not Devontae Adams away from being fixed, and if I'm him, I'd like to go to an offense a little bit more structured, I guess. I don't know. So it doesn't seem like the best destination for him personally, but
I can't imagine Garrett Wilson's going to be thrilled if Devontae Adams comes in.
Yeah, we'll get to him. I got some opinions on him. He was almost like Rodgers kind of refused to throw it to him to the point of desperation. Where he's like, all right, I guess I have to throw it to this guy. And then it was like, whoa, you know what? It's working a little bit. And then they kind of caught fire a little bit at the end. But it's weird. He's so overly trustworthy with like Lazard, and that's fine. But it doesn't mean you don't throw it to anyone else, and that only Lazard gets the risky passes. Like I don't think you're capitalizing off of what you have out there. Maybe Devontae falls in that category like Lazard, and he'll get all those crazy passes too. But he looks like a 40-year-old quarterback. I mean, we'll get to it. All right, back on the picks here. Detroit coming off a bye. They're going to be at the Dallas Cowboys. We just talked about Pittsburgh kind of blowing this after the rain delay. This was a good win for Dallas. I don't want to give them credit, but I will, because this is a game that Pittsburgh beats almost every other team in the league on. It's a weird one. And the fact that they took care of business, were able to have the game-winning drive, I will give them credit, because Pittsburgh owns everybody across the league in this sort of messy, sloppy game in this kind of score range here. So I'll give them credit, but I still have Detroit coming off a bye. I mean, if that's the best Dallas has, they're in for some trouble. Detroit is a superior team. What are your thoughts on the Dallas momentum here? Is this for real? They took care of business at Pittsburgh. Are they going to take care of business with Detroit?
It's just too bad that they're going against the Lions, because the Lions are really good. If they're going against more of an average team, I'd say, that good momentum in the right way, in the right direction. Good for Dak on throwing the game-winning drive, game-winning TD late, where throws that really bad red zone interception at the beginning of the game, so just be able to like put that away, to focus. But that still happened, and I think the Lions, like I said, legitimately good, one of the best teams in the league. And I just don't think the Cowboys are going to, even at home, are going to be able to be able to handle them.
It's a big win for Dallas. Most teams in the league would have blown it.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, next game, the hot Atlanta Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. They put up points. We mentioned that a little bit earlier. They're the point chasers with Captain Kirk here. They shouldn't have a problem taking on Carolina here, but that was a fun one against Tampa Bay. Dalton can only fix so much. They're still better with Dalton. I refuse to back off of that. But this is it's just not Carolina's year. We'll just leave it to that. I got Atlanta. Who you got?
Yep, going Atlanta. Can't see myself picking the Panthers.
Next game, the Cincinnati Bengals at the New York Giants. Giants were without Neighbors. They were without Singletary. And yet they got a lucky special teams bailout. That that's kind of overshadowing that Danny Dimes actually had a really good game again with Wandale and a couple other guys here. This is there's a frisky New York Giants team here. That being said, the Bengals should be the feistiest team in the league after losing last week. That they completely could have won. So many chances to win that game. They played really well, scoring up 38 points against a good Baltimore team. This might be one of the most cursed teams in the league. They have to be out for blood after last week. I got Cincinnati by a lot. This team isn't that bad for being 1-4, right? Like Cincinnati's a decent team.
I keep thinking that, and I'm willing to get burned again, especially because I think the Giants are not good. Like you said, they got bailed out on special teams. We're not even sure it was quite legal play, and I'm going so far as I don't know what the what the number is, but I am going the Bengals money line.
Oh, that all right. Yeah, that's a good one. I could be on board with that. Especially if Neighbors or Singletary aren't back. I don't know if they're going to be able to repeat the sort of stuff they got from everyone else. All right, moving on. Last
Just
game.
sooner or later, they're just going to dominate. I just don't know when, and I'm like I said, I'm willing to get burned again.
They kind of did last week. Lamar did some miracle stuff. I mean, one of the best plays of the week was Lamar's like stumbling, and he finds Likely in the end zone. He has like 3 stiff arms on this play, just trying to get the play off, and then he gets it off, and they score a touchdown off of it. I don't care how many points you're up. You got a guy doing that against you. You're in trouble. I thought Cincinnati put up some really good punches last week, though. Just big points, big plays, tons of threats. They should kill the Giants this week. I hope you hit the money line. Next game, we could spend an hour on these next 2 teams, and we just might. Or you might have to cancel the rest of your vacation here so we can sort out the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. Which one do you want to start with? The disappointment in Rodgers or the stupidest play of possibly the year in the Buffalo Bills play calls at the end of the end zone there? Just what's the stupidest play here?
I think the bigger concern is the Jets because you mentioned it. You mentioned Rodgers looks like a 40-year-old quarterback. I said he looked good against us, and now it's looking like that was much more to do with us and not just him having kind of found his groove. Where the Bills, at least Josh Allen has been up and down. I mean, it's not what you want from your hoping to be MVP quarterback, making a real run to the Super Bowl. So there's concern in both areas, but I think it's got to be more on the Jets side of. I think there was a lot of hope coming into the year. There was kind of mixed. Then the Patriots game happened, and it was, oh, we are full steam ahead. This guy's got it. We're about to make noise. And now it seems like that might not be the case.
They fall down. The Jets fall down 17-0 in this game. They're unable to ever run the ball, apparently, because they want Rodgers to throw it. He throws it for like 50-plus times again. I don't know why he's throwing it so much. He took a ton of sacks. Breece Hall gets no love at all. I don't know. We can't even do checkdowns to him. Like, I know you don't want to run the ball. You just want to sling it wherever, Rodgers, but like you can't ever just play it safe. A little checkdowns here. I mean, like I said, they started throwing to Garrett Wilson out of just desperation, it felt like. I wouldn't, if I was Devontae, I wouldn't want to play for the team, but this looked like a 40-year-old man. This is also a London game. Maybe a little bit of slack on all that for some of it, but
I don't know, man. They go down 17-0, and you think, oh, this is going to be over. But then in the fourth quarter, they had a chance. They were driving down. They were going to be in range, and then Rodgers throws his 3rd interception of the day, and the first one was a pick 6. So
bad one, yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't get to talk about Minnesota this week, but I think Justin Jefferson is the best player in the league. Like, I just think that the stuff he's doing and in the moments he's doing it, like this Minnesota team is doing some pretty creative things defensively. They're causing trouble all across the league, but offensively, that's the guy I want. That's the 101. I mean, maybe Tyreek Hill with a better quarterback situation I could be talked into. There's other guys that are really good, but I think this is the guy. I think with Minnesota's year and with what he's doing, I think he's the best player in the league. Challenge me.
Jefferson.
Yeah.
Jefferson's definitely fun. I think it's safe to say that no one saw this Vikings season coming. They are 5-0, both straight up and at the spread. So it means every week coming in, the expectations have been set that they will win or lose by this much, and they have beat those expectations. So I don't know when the wheels fall off, but if you are in Minnesota, you got to be feeling pretty happy, and not just because Karl Anthony Towns isn't on your team anymore.
We'll get to basketball. We've got plenty of time there. I just got to quickly embarrass the Bills, who I'm still stupidly going to pick this week. They threw the ball from their own end zone with no time left, basically. They could have just ran the ball one time or had any completion inbounds and just went in overtime and had a chance to win this. They instead decided to try to do like 3 Hail Marys from their own end zone. They don't get them. They don't take off any time. They have to punt from their end zone. The punt ends up being so bad that it only goes to the 50-yarder. And Fairbairn for the Houston Texans kicks like a 56-yarder for the win, and Buffalo loses in regulation. This is just stupidity, right? This is
how does this keep happening? Just I don't know what the training would be, and the joke is, hey, why don't these college coaches play Madden, and could we do some sort of I don't know, we called it like Madden Pro or like Madden Coach, or maybe you have to call it something even more different, because I don't know if these coaches are just so like, oh well, this is a game for children, but it's, hey, this is a teaching tool. You could use this. You don't have to actually be using the sticks. You can automate it or watch somebody else play and say, hey, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do, and then you could play like you're just talking about like the VR simulation of, you could simulate this a whole bunch of times. And then when you're in this situation, knowing the clock is your friend or it's not your friend, depending on the situation, and knowing when is it just better of, like you said, just run the ball, take off the 30 plus seconds, and win these. It just seems very doable.
I just want to argue that I'm in support of you having support of your best player and your best threat in Josh Allen and saying go out and do that. I just think you need to do a little bit of research on what the other team's strengths are as well. And their kicker has already kicked 8 50-plus yard field goals this year, and that if your punt doesn't go well, which is also a chance, we saw a bunch of special teams errors. We talked to Cincinnati. They could have won last week if the guy holds the snap right. Just what are we taking advantage of? Why are we acting like these possibilities aren't possibilities, and in fact are likely possibilities that we're just going to ignore because we have Josh Allen and we're really good? And he wasn't very good, and he didn't have any of those plays, and this is what happened. I would have loved to just had a chance. I also would have loved to see overtime, especially with these two teams. So
Yes.
it was kind of taken away from me a little bit. So there's a little bit of the robbery of that in my just frustration with this team. The problem is that I'm even more frustrated with the Jets offense, and I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills on the road this week. I feel there's no way I'm picking the Jets. There's no way you're picking the Jets either after what we saw the last week. Coming back from London, rumblings already happening. They're asking for trades for Devontae Adams as if this is a Super Bowl bound team, and they're just not. The Bills need to get right. They're going to be thrilled to play the Jets. They're going to be thrilled to be playing in New York. I got the Bills. Who you got?
Yep. Give me the Bills Monday night. Make it happen.
It should be a fun one. I hope this is another good week of just high scoring football. It was nice to see some points again. We don't get those every week. Sometimes I get stuck watching the Patriots do these 9-9 games, and it's just like, all right, yeah. Are we going to play football today, or am I just going to watch you guys just dick around on the sideline and watch about a bunch of punts here, just kicking back and forth? Just, yeah.
Bunch of mistakes and flags, yeah.
All right, well, those are our picks for the week. We'll get updated. Make sure you get all your picks in. And let's do a little quick college football recap here, because it was quite the week. I have seen some fines going across the board to some teams that have made some decisions after their exceptional upset of stealing the goalpost. Apparently, that's a very expensive no-no. If you haven't done that before, don't. I wouldn't do it, or would you do it? I don't know. What are you recommending?
If you are Vanderbilt, I think it was 0-60 versus top 10 teams, and you beat the number 1 team in the country, and it is specifically Alabama, who has been kicking your ass for years and years and years. You get a little crazy. You pay the fine. You go in. I don't know if you get a crane and you get the field or the post back, or if you get a new one. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You got to win against Alabama. They're gonna be talking about this for years and years. Everyone that was there, that stormed the field, that took the field goal post. Like this is how Vandy. They're gonna make their money back tenfold in donations. Easy. And yeah, just a wild week. Alabama number 1 goes down after last week beating Georgia, thinking, all right, they're for real. And then after later on in the evening, number 4 Tennessee getting beat. It's like the first time in forever that 2 top four SEC teams have lost to unranked teams in the in the same day.
Man, the crown ain't safe. That's all I'll say.
Oof.
Do not mail it in on any Saturdays. They're out there. They're waiting. Every team wants to be that team. You got to go in there and be the big bad dog and just act like it because, damn, man, this is one where I wasn't even watching, but just seeing on the bottom line and being like, that can't be right. Like that's, so I'll have to like look this up. Like there's no way that score is right. Somebody has mistyped this, and then you see all over social media just the chaos of the fans and the students and everybody's celebrating. Like you said, they should be.
And it,
The one of one of who you could beat in college football is Bama, let alone a good Bama team that is the number one ranked team. This could have been last year. It still would have been a big deal, right? It would have mattered. It's
yeah,
Alabama.
it's Alabama, and this wasn't some sort of rock fight, fluky. It's pouring rain out. Vanderbilt put up 40 points. Like Alabama, they should have. Like if you give up 40 points, you're not going to win a lot of games.
Exciting stuff. Any games we got to look out for this weekend?
Just one last one from last week. I want to note. California had game day for the first time. It seems like they had a lot of fun, and they were very much in the driver's seat. They were up 24 points, and then Miami came thundering back, scoring 21 points in the fourth to win it by 1 point at the very end. Miami, the past 2 weeks, has gotten very lucky. There have been some questionable calls depending on whose side you're on. So it'll be interesting going forward. It was funny that I think the best joke, I think it was Kevin Clark, said something along the lines of the Cal team was thinking, hey, this party's pretty much winding down, not realizing Miami hadn't even left the pregame party yet. So I thought that was funny. But no, this week we have some really good ones coming up. 3:30, number 4 Penn State at USC. Then at 7:30, going head to head. But we have number 2 Ohio State versus number 3 Oregon, and then number 9 Ole Miss at number 13 LSU. So just a few really high level matchups that are going to have an impact on the college football playoff as we are getting deeper into October.
Yeah, are you expecting some more goalposts to be stolen as well? Are we calling anything?
Not this week. Not this week. Because the premier matchups here. If USC were to win, they're a football school. They expect to win. If Oregon won, they're number 3 in the country. Same thing, and LSU is also ranked, has won a national championship recently. So no field storming, no no jumping to that level.
All right, is that it for college?
That's it for college.
Well, guess what? There's one more section after this. It is NBA basketball.
Ooh, what do we got?
We got Celtics Nuggets kicking it off international style in what was it, Abu Dhabi. They're played a couple of games out over there. I don't really want to get into the games. Guys look good. Guys showed up. Everybody played that was supposed to play. We're off. We're doing it. Jokic is already nonchalanting everything, doing awesome stuff. Brown looked in excellent condition physically, much beefier, a little bit stronger, very lean, and somehow pulling it all off in the bulk and the cut at the same time. We're back. We had basketball. Should we just indulge in all this, or do you want to hear the silly things that happened by playing international games here with the massive score mix-up after the first game?
Just wanna gush for a little bit. I was able to watch this game because it was a 10 a.m. Eastern start, so it was at a kind of a convenient time, and so I was able to watch, which was cool. Trying to find the stream and set up a hotel TV was a little tricky, but once I got it going, it was worth the effort. Was surprised how much of our main guys played. It was awesome seeing Mike Malone get frustrated and have to use all of his timeouts in a preseason game. I totally get it was 2 preseason games. They don't count for anything. But, oh, man, is it just so much fun to watch Jason Tatum with his altered jump shot, to watch just Derek White just seeming like he is mid-season form, and this is all after earlier just the Patriots just being an absolute mess, and just knowing we've been making the joke, but it's a serious. It's not even a joke at this point. Of the Celtics are about to play, Celtics are about to be awesome, and just we're getting into it.
It was fun. It was nice just to see it. The little score mix-up I'll mention, just a quick story on it. It's we get to the end of the game. Now, this game doesn't count. They review, like, the last play of the game. It's a 1-point game. I think the Celtics are down 1 point. When they go to the review, they review the books that they have don't match the score that's reflecting up there. So they go to review a play that I think would have put Denver up, or Denver was up, and it ends up being like a no call, and that they switched the score because the score wasn't right, which I imagine they didn't really do a good job explaining this on the broadcast, at least from what I was hearing. That I don't know where the 2 points came from, but they don't know, or where it screwed up. But I imagine most of these teams would have played the closing minute differently had they known that they were winning and the other team was losing. So that's not going to see that happen often. I don't, not even in college.
Good thing it was preseason. It's kind of funny because the Nuggets and Celtics, they played 2 games over there. The first game was, in quotes, the Denver home game. So maybe there was a little bit of home cooking for them, trying to beef up the score a little bit, and then they got caught towards the end. But yeah, just a funny quirk with it being preseason overseas that you're just not going to see during the regular season in America.
I don't want to be judging countries here, but I wonder if this was an American way of being like, this is what they do in America. We were trying to imitate them, or if this is more of an international shenanigans that they often pull off in some of these weird sort of not NBA level facade sport levels. I'll say. Let's just leave it at that. But not the only thing we saw this week. We did see a couple other debuts. I won't bear the details. Bronny and LeBron, they got on the court together, but I'm a little bit more interested in talking about.
Wow! Did that move the championship odds?
Oh, big time!
Do you get so if the father and the son, if they're on the court at the same time, do the baskets count for extra?
We're not going to do this now. We got a whole season to do it. All right, we're not going to ruin the first time we get to talk about this with this. All right, Cat was on the Knicks
preseason game. I can't believe it. I saw so much of this on social media. I saw people are already going, "Wow, LeBron in his 22nd preseason. Look how hard he's going. Oh, it's amazing. Oh, it's amazing. He's playing basketball in a basketball game. Wow, yeah. Let's hang the banner for him right now. Oh man, it's ridiculous.
All right, can we talk about the Knicks then? Cat made his debut on the Knicks. What did you think of that? Looked like he's already got a nickname. What did they call him? Josh Hart just called him something. It was the Big Bodega. I think that's who he's calling him.
The Big Bodega. That's really good for New York City. I don't know if it quite fits. It doesn't really roll off the tongue well, but I think that it works for somebody in New York City. We'll see if it sticks.
Yeah, all right. No love for the Knicks, but we can hate on the Lakers nonstop. No, all the time in the world for that.
They just got a new guy. We went over it last week on our thoughts there. I'll let it play out a little bit, before we get too crazy on it. It's just preseason. These games don't count unless it's the Celtics, and they look awesome.
We got less than a minute to wrap up things. I just want to thank you for finding the time on your vacation to do this. It's been fun. We've been doing it for, just round up and say 9 years right now, depending on what time zone you're in. And we're going to keep doing it, right? We're going to keep this going. I mean, if you're going to commit to this much, I mean, why are we going to stop now?
We got to keep going. We're just a year away from a decade out, and I can't imagine there's going to be many more of these morning podcasts for me.
I don't know. I think we're killing it. I think we're living life, and we're still doing this. It's a fun commitment. I want to remind everyone to subscribe. Little Column A, Little Column B podcast, and make sure you follow Zach on his Twitter account, which is
WickedZman24.
Yeah. Anything else for the people out there? You got some time.
Oh, the Celtics are so close, and I can't wait until we have both basketball and football. Duke had countdown to craziness, so that is not too far away. And yeah, we're just about to be in like the best time of the year.
I saw some Cooper Flag stuff. He looks real bouncy. Looks like he's already gained a little bit of weight. I rode in a gondola yesterday. There was no skiing, but skiing's not that far away as well. So just all the fun things. Last little closeout here. Make sure you're watching some WNBA playoff basketball. The games have been good. The stars are starting to show up a little bit more. We're getting a little bit closer down to the end of the playoffs here. We're not getting first round matchups anymore. Just turn it on. I've been watching. It's playoff basketball, man. We're getting it already in October here. It's just a little primer for the real stuff kicking off soon. Oh man, it's so close. We're right here.
So close.
The Patriots are so bad. The Celtics are so good. Let's just skip to that part. We're just
Let's just skip.
we're
Skip
almost
to the
there.
fun part.
All right, thank you
Skip
for
to
everyone.
the fun part.
We'll be back next week. I assume normal schedule, normal time zones, and we'll be back
Tuesday
next week. Enjoy your Monday night. Watch the Manning Cast.
Little column A, little column B.